call me Old Man Wade.
Damn you, old man!
Wait.
Old ass man.
Shut up, old man. You smell like fart.
No, man!
Old man.
He's so old, he got a podcast on cassette.
Fuck, you're old.
Damn it, Wade.
And welcome to the Old Man Wade Show. I'm your host, Old Man Wade. And I want to say Amandala and Wakanda Forever.
Wakanda forever!
Back here with my co-host, Super Woke Javi.
What's up, guys?
What's going on, everybody? So,
I'm changing my name to Super Woke Havala
Super Woke Havala,
or T Javi.
Tahavi.
Javi.
Would you be Jahavi?
I don't know. It's kind of hard.
Jahavi.
Javi.
Killmonger.
Call me Killmonger.
I already dubbed Diddy Killmonger.
All right, we're gonna have to fight about that. Yeah, we're gonna have to have a battle to the death for that name.
And now, Super Woke and Diddy will now take away the power of the Panther.
Oh, yo, I'm still excited.
Yo, I saw it front. So let's get right down into it. For those of you who have not seen the Black Panther, just download the episode, listen to it when you can, because we're going to be giving out nothing but spoilers this whole episode.
Spoiler filled.
So, I saw the movie Thursday and did a review for Bam Smack Pow.
Great review, by the way.
Appreciate it. And then I saw it today when we're recording this is on Monday, and I saw it again, and my emotions were still the same. So I realized that I had the same feelings that I did the first time I saw it. So those emotions I had weren't heightened because I was anticipating this movie. These emotions were heightened because the movie was just that good.
You know what? Like,
Your wife did something fly as hell for you.
Yeah. You know, I actually thought, was it Thursday? When was Valentine's Day? Wednesday?
I don't know.
Whatever. Yeah. We're married. You kind of forget these. They kind of blend into each other. But we have a tradition, the wife and I. We see the 50 Shades movies every Valentine's. Okay, you should see old man's face right now. He's judging me. But it's alright. Oh, the movies are very entertaining. They're hilarious.
I'm sure they are.
Right?
I'd rather watch Twilight.
They're equally as sexy. But
that says a lot.
So we're getting ready to go to the movie theater, and I'm like, man, in my mind, I'm like, I really want to see Black Panther. F this, right?
Yeah.
But she knows the wife. She's happy. She wants to see 50 Shades. I'm like, whatever, I'll do this. Table for the team. So we get there, and she buys a ticket for Theater 1. I look up. Theater 1 is Black Panther. And I fell in love all over again.
Reunited.
Ah,
it feels so good.
Get yourself a wife, guys.
I'm telling you, man, people, the beauty of being in a relationship is absolutely amazing when stuff like this randomly happens.
Yeah. And she understands your love for Black Panther. But I was going to say, oh man, like that your excitement is not out of the ordinary. Black Twitter, Black Facebook, white Facebook, every social network
Has been booming.
Oh my God, it's all Black Panther all the time.
But I love it though. But one of the things I pointed out in the in my article was that it wasn't a theater filled with black people. It was a theater full of people.
Well, it depends on the theater you went to, but
which is fine. It wasn't that. But there was a lot of black folks down there too, and there was a bunch of like Asian folks too.
Did you go with your African inspired gear? Or?
Nah, I went actually get a laugh. I bought 2 Black Panther shirts. I got one for my grandmother and I got one for me.
Oh, dope.
And I didn't realize the logo on the shirt I had was actually Killmonger.
I'm okay, Killmonger. Sorry, Diddy. I am Killmonger.
But nah, so I went with my grandmother and my wife, Mrs. Old Man Wade, and I'm not gonna lie, I got choked up a little bit just like having the experience of watching this movie with 2 of the most important women in my life. Mm. And the one thing I noticed about this movie is the crowd was still. Mm. No one was on their phone texting, even hearing like side chatter. There was it looked like someone paid to have a bunch of kids go see this particular premiere of the movie, and they were all silent. There were no kids like yelling and being like loud and rambunctious or anything like that. They were just chilling, laughing, clapping with the movie, oohs and ahs, and it was a cool feeling to see, like, when the people were actually just paying attention to what was going on. And when I left the theater, I'm waiting for the side chatter, like, oh, this movie was too black and it was too this. Like, nah, everyone had nothing but giant smiles on their faces.
Well, that's the thing, and I think we'll get into this more when we get further into the review portion of this. But getting ahead of ourselves a little bit, it was a great movie. Like,
Yeah.
on its merits. Forget about the message it was giving us. Forget about all the hope it gave a community of people that are in need of hope, right? It was just a good movie.
Yeah.
Right? Ryan Coogler?
Ryan Coogler.
Yep.
Or Ryan Coogler, I can't remember which one it is.
I think it's Coogler. He's a great director. I watched Creed. I love that movie. Did he do Fruitvale Station?
No, that was the other one, Michael B. Jordan, right?
Yeah, okay, yeah. But everybody involved with this film, just awesome. The cinematography, the wardrobe, the score, everything was just on point. It was just a good movie. I don't blame people for being quiet, and even if you weren't into the Black Panther as a symbol, I could see why people would love this movie, regardless.
Yeah. Just Greg said something that was really what hit home when he was talking about the movie. The movie flowed like perfectly, like, you know what I mean. And like, so you have these really overly dramatic moments that fit what was going on, but then there was an added bit of levity to take away from the fact, so you're not just sitting there going, oh, this is so boring and dry. Like, no, like, there was these really dramatic moments that needed to be dramatic, and then they would hit you either with some action, or they'd hit you with a joke, just enough to kind of keep your emotions like leveled.
Yeah. So
like something bad would happen, and then something would happen to give you hope. Something really sad would happen, and then like Shuri would come out and go, "What are those?"
But not one of the greatest moments in Marvel cinematic history. The what are those? Shuri. She makes me want to have a daughter so badly.
Oh man.
But talking about the humor, I know a lot of people, they've been critical of Marvel movies, especially recently. I know Thor Ragnarok, the biggest criticism of a great film, by the way, was it relied too much on humor. Right?
That was a critique of...
That was a critique. A lot of people thought it was like,
Marvel movies in general.
Marvel movies in general, and I think Ragnarok, because Ragnarok had so many of those funny moments, I think people looking for reasons to hate the movie said, there were too many jokes.
Yeah.
I don't think you could say that for the Black Panther.
Absolutely.
Because they had those moments, like you said, of levity to break up the seriousness, but it all hit perfectly. The I don't freeze moment, he froze.
Yeah. Like an antelope in headlights. But that was one of the... I loved it about it, man. And like, then there was this is something I always say about V for Vendetta. There were no wasted moments. Mm-hmm. So even something as small as I never freeze played out a couple more times.
Yeah.
So even that joke wasn't a wasted moment. When you see, when you're in the beginning of the movie, when you're focused on this little kid and you can't figure out why, and then when you find out that it's Killmonger, later on you're like, damn, even that wasn't wasted. Yeah. You know what I mean? So that was one of the best things about the movie, was the way it flowed, why there was always callbacks to something that might have happened like a half hour ago. Yeah. But it was a beautiful movie visually. I was watching this an interview with the cast, and they talked about the scene where T'Challa was about to fight M'Baku, and they were talking about just the how they created that background, and then when they actually seen the waterfall, they had all these extras in African garbs, and the cast in African garbs, and the beating of the drums, and they said even after the camera stopped rolling, they were still beating on the drums. People are like whistling, people are like having a good time. So I think that was like a testament to how well they worked together, how much they really believed in this project.
Okay, yep. So we know we like the movie. All right, spoiler alert for this spoiler-filled review. We both really liked the movie, but we're also comic book fans.
Yes.
And so
Absolutely.
this movie is based on the Black Panther, a comic book that's close, near and dear to both of our hearts.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, giving that, how do you think the movie did in representing Black Panther as a hero, as the comic book that we all grew up reading, loving? How well do you think it represented that?
Black Panther itself, and again, we having a conversation with Greg, he was actually the least amazing person in that movie.
Mm.
And it wasn't, he said he was reading a review, and it's absolutely true. He was great though. What was funny is like he still maintained all of T'Challa's smoothness, all of his skill, all of his intelligence. But the thing about T'Challa is sometimes he's too smooth and he's too I won't say go with the flow, but he's too smooth would just be the appropriate example. So
he's not willing to take the risky route, right?
Yeah.
Like he's safe, especially when it comes to decisions revolving around Wakanda's safety.
And that's one of the reasons why he will work so well with the Avengers, is because he's so different than the rest of them.
Yeah.
So he will stand out because he's because he's not like them on any level.
Yeah.
As opposed to with him and the rest of the Wakandans, they're all intelligent, they're all strong, they're all brave. Mm-hmm. Like, you know what I mean? So he was still, while he had all these attributes, one of the things that I love that they pointed out was an issue that he's had, especially most recently in the Ta-Nehisi Coates series, is that like he's still dealing with a lot of his insecurities. Yeah. Now in the comic books, he's been king for a long time, but in this, like he's newly crowned. Like, you know what I mean? He has these people around him who have a different idea of what Wakanda can do. Yeah. Like Nakia wants to do more for the disenfranchised people around Africa and around the world. But that wasn't the Wakandan way. So there was this internal struggle about that. Then when he finds out that his father wasn't the pure hero that he thought he was, that leads to more insecurities about whether or not he's doing the right thing. Mm-hmm. So while the story might have been called The Black Panther, I feel like everybody, all the majority of the cast were all equal parts.
Yeah. I think some of them even outshined.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Black Panther. Not taking away anything from Chadwick Boseman's portrayal of the Black Panther. He's a great actor. But I think that his portrayal of Black Panther was that of a regal leader, right? Mm-hmm. Who had to take into consideration the views and feelings of the people that he led, right? And I think him kind of going into the background was intentional. And looking in the connection to the comic book, I know you know this, like recently, I think Black Panther is a lot more active outside of Black Panther comic books, right? Like when he's dealing with a cosmic enemy with the Avengers,
or like the Secret Avenger thing he had with Reed Richards, Black Bolt.
Yeah, like he's always doing things outside of Black Panther comics, and then especially recently with Ta-Nehisi Coates' take, and I forgot the writer after him. They're dealing more with the political, issues revolving around Wakanda. So when you look at the Black Panther comic book, you're looking at people upset with his rule. You're looking at potential, revolutions within Wakanda. So even in the comic book Black Panther kind of takes a backseat to the political intrigue of the country that he's running. So I don't think that's too far out of line of what we expected from the comic book.
Yeah, there's a current comic series called Rise of the Black Panther. The Ta-Nehisi Coates is the consultant, but the writer is Evan Narcisse.
Evan Narcisse, yes. He's actually from Kotaku. It's a Gizmodo site, formerly Gawker. He used to, which is awesome. He used to review comic books, and now he writes for them, which is awesome.
Which is the dopest on that, yeah. But which is great, like especially like when you go from one stage to the next, like you know what I mean. And then you have someone like Ta-Nehisi Coates is essentially your mentor, consulting on the things that you're writing. It's also had to be an amazing experience. So we talked about who would you? Okay, you know what? That's going to be a whole different conversation because getting into who your favorite character is and all this stuff. Let's talk about anything you didn't like about the movie. One of the biggest, actually, one of the complaints I've heard was the CGI.
Okay.
Like there was just like a lot of it was just, I guess blatant. I guess would be the best word for it. Like kind of like in your face and sometimes kind of cheesy.
I guess, but with CG with graphics nowadays, right? And there's so many different formats. You can watch a movie in normal mode. You can watch it in 4K IMAX. You can watch it in 3D. I actually saw it in IMAX, and everything looked good to me. Like the special effects, it was on par with other things I've expected from Marvel. It didn't look any cheesier than anything I've seen at Ragnarok or anything. But I guess people, beauty's in the eye of the beholder. Yeah. What about, did you think the CG was cheesy? Or?
I didn't think it was cheesy. I thought it was appropriate because if you look at a lot of the, more recently the Ta-Nehisi Coates, then I think it was Brian Stelfreeze, I think was drawing Black Panther Once Upon a Time. Mm-hmm. And one of the things about it was he made everything brighter. So that thing about his suit with the absorbing the kinetic energy and letting it out is something that he uses in the current comic book series. I'm actually looking it up now to make sure it is on Brian Stelfreeze. But yeah, so I didn't think the CGI was too cheesy. I will say that there were a ton of insanely bright colors during the was it North Korea?
Yeah, it was South Korea.
South Korea.
Yeah.
Chase scene, mm-hmm. But a lot of it has to do with the fact that it was at night, so it had the suit, the energy coming out of his suit had to be a bit brighter, because it was so dark. And just to note that Rachel Morrison was actually the cinematographer. Brian Stelfreeze, isn't it? Say again?
Rachel Morrison was the cinematographer for Black Panther. Another groundbreaking aspect about the movie. So it's a black director and a female cinematographer. So these are two underrepresented groups that are actually crafting the imagery for this movie, right? And she's actually known for using a lot of bright colors in her films. Mm-hmm. And I've been hearing actually a lot of positive things about the cinematography and the way the movie looked. Again, beauty's in the eye of the beholder. But on a technical, like when you're looking at it from the technical standpoint, it was great.
Absolutely.
It was freaking great. Like it was beautiful.
One of the things I love, speaking about the beauty of it, is the fact that even in the comic books, despite the fact that Wakanda is so technologically sound, they still kept the look of their heritage. Mm-hmm. So I love when Killmonger said that they weave vibranium into their clothes, because it's like, at the end of the day, like their look is one of the things that makes Africa is the look. Mm-hmm. Like, you know what I mean? Like the headdresses, the dashikis, like the really bright colors mm-hmm. in their clothing, and they kept all that. Like the village, I guess, bazaar, I guess would you call it that? Like the marketplace?
Yeah, the marketplace, the village center.
Yeah, like it still looked like something you'd see in Africa, like you know what I mean. But then you'd see a hover bus going down the middle of it. There was no infighting. Like the kids were running around with smiles on their faces.
Not that we see now. I mean, we haven't seen infighting yet. But again,
I have thoughts on that. We'll get into that. Yeah. We have speculations. And one of the other things I loved about it, and it kind of reminded me of Hawaii, was like they made sure that they kept the nature of their country. Yeah. And I think there was actually like plant life growing out of one of the buildings.
Well, look at it. So I actually had a discussion with somebody yesterday about this movie, and he was I'm not going to say this, but he had a different reaction to the movie slightly, and he was confused about Wakanda's ability to have money if they don't trade with the rest of the world. right? So he's like, that doesn't make any sense. How is Wakanda so rich and have all these awesome things in their cities and they don't trade, and they're isolationists and they don't trade with the rest of the world, right? And I go like, and my answer to that was, they have freaking vibranium, right? There's a reason why their environment wasn't ravished by industrialization, because they didn't need it. They don't need coal and oil. They don't need to be mining for everything. All they need is vibranium, and they're straight.
But how do we even know that there's even a need for money? You know what I mean? Like, if you're in a community where no one takes more than they need,
Yeah.
then you don't really need money.
Well, I mean, you could get into this whole conversation. They could have their own money. They could have their own isolated economic system, right, where they sell and trade amongst themselves. They have it. If resources aren't scarce, they don't need to trade. They seem to be okay without any help. And as a matter of fact, in the beginning of the movie, they say that not in the beginning of the movie, in the interrogation scene between Ross and Claw asks Ross, "What do you know about Wakanda?" He's like, "Third world country. They trade textiles, right?"
Yeah.
That's even if they just use that money from their textile exports just so they can have some cash around to deal with the colonizers.
Yeah.
I love that term, right?
Don't sneak up on me, colonizer. I fucking lost it when she said that.
That'd be more than enough money to kind of fake the funk, right? While most of their spending is done by whatever vibranium laced coins they use to buy some dope ass street chicken. Did you see that part?
Yeah.
I bet you that chicken was seasoned.
No comment.
In Wakanda, you don't have to season your chicken because seasoning flows through the air.
you wait for a gust of air, a gust of Lowry seasoning salt. You just put the chicken up in the air.
Seasoned, perfectly seasoned chicken.
And then throw it back on the grill.
That's hilarious.
In Wakanda, there's no need to ask a question. Did you wash the chicken?
Yeah, it's not. They just it comes pre-limed.
But there was but the visuals about it were, I guess, enchanting, man. Like there was so much about the movie, and like no matter how many times they showed the vibranium mines, it was like seeing it again for the first time.
Yeah.
Like even in that deep dark cave, like the blue was shining. You know what I mean? The light from the railroad, if that's what you want to call it, was great. Like Shuri's lab.
Yeah. It was just again like this. It was a showcase of the most fantastical technology you can ever imagine, right?
Yeah.
Or not imagine, because when you look at the production of this movie and you look at what the cast and directors, what they said about the movie, right? They really wanted to create a world that was separate, right, from the world that we know. So an Africa that was never colonized, and not just that, a country that was able to independently grow their own technology and cultures, right? So when they were this is the story. When they were designing the technology for Wakanda, they purposely tried to make it in a way that was alien from what we're used to. So when you look at them piloting their ships in like a meditation stance, right? Like all that's to show that everything, even having a joystick in a plane,
yeah,
right?
Or just having like the ability to be like, we adapted it and made it American. Yeah,
like it was all theirs. I am so jealous of people who live in Wakanda, even though I know it's not real. Just I want those little beads that cure bullet holes.
I love that's something. And again, the Ta-Nehisi Coates thing is like Brian Stelfreeze drew these beads around their wrist that were like multi-purpose. I was like, thought it was cool. Like she went next to T'Challa's head and like scanned the beads over like to his like brainwaves. I guess.
Yeah.
It automatically worked with his body.
Yeah.
I was like, that is so fucking cool.
It's cool, but it's sad at the same time. Every piece of technology that we're using. So I have a fancy iPhone. You have a fancy iPhone, right?
Yeah.
Laptop. They're run they wouldn't work without rare earth metals, right? Like the real version of vibranium, essentially. You know, all of our computer processors are built with it. Then you look at precious minerals like diamonds. All that comes from the continent. All that comes from Africa. So just imagine if some fluke of history, a nation or multiple nations in Africa had the ability to just use those resources for themselves without them getting stolen. Like, what would they be able to accomplish?
Well, again, it's back to what we talked about when me and you had did a solo podcast when I brought the Little Baby Fiasco song, All Black Everything. Mm-hmm. Like, what would happen if we all as people built this world together instead of the British slaving the people in the West Indies, or if people didn't slave, if the African chiefs didn't sell slaves over to the to the Europeans to go build America. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? What happens if we as people in the world were all one and helped each other to make things right? You know what I mean? I think that's one of the things that, I think that's the part that a lot of people are missing about Wakanda. Mm-hmm. It wasn't yes, it was pro-black. Yes, it was Africa. You know what I mean? But it was more preaching of like solidarity, community, like togetherness, like strength. Like, one of the things my wife loved was all of these dark-skinned black women, beautiful black women who were this fucking powerful, were this strong, this commanding. Like Okoye,
yep.
Okoye stole the fucking show. Like, every time she was on screen, like, she commanded, like, respect. Like, when she walked, like, when she was sitting there in the, sitting Indian style, controlling the ship, even something like that cool was, like just, like, eye-catching.
That, too, and not just their physical power to me. It wasn't just their physicalness that stood out to me, which I think was very, especially on Okoye, like, Okoye, right?
Okoye, yeah.
Oh my gosh, especially her. But the fact that even the king listened to the women around him.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
they
held rank. You know, like, I remember that scene when Ross touched T'Challa's chest, and you could see Okoye just look at him like, yo, I'm about to rip this dude's.
Yeah.
And she's talking to him in the Wakandan language, which is based off of a language in South Africa, apparently, right? And then Ross goes like, can she speak English? And she goes like, she can't. Right? That's her. Like, no, don't ask him.
Talk to me.
Talk to me.
But I love that though, man. Like, when I say powerful, I don't even, like you said, I don't necessarily mean his strength. Yeah. I just mean just everything about them was powerful. Yeah. Like, Okoye's presence was that fucking strong. Yeah. Like, she just like kind of stood up and was just like, I'm here. And she was even like funny, like her whole thing when she was talking about the wig, and she was just like, get this ridiculous thing off my head.
Yo, she used the wig as a weapon. Oh my god!
And then use it as a weapon.
Yo,
and then use it as a weapon.
That might be one of my favorite fight scenes in all of Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like that. When you go, if you haven't watched this film yet, which you probably shouldn't be listening to this if you haven't watched it, but if you haven't watched it yet, just pay close attention to that Korean fight scene, because that was just epic.
And one of the things that I loved about that fight scene in particular was the fact that they didn't have to go and put everything in slow motion so you could see every hit. I don't know what it was about the camera angles. Maybe they backed it up a little bit more. Maybe they made maybe the distance between the cameras and the fight scenes, the fighters were just perfect enough that you could see everything that was going on. Yeah. So when Nakia was breaking someone's arm, you saw exactly every movement she took to do it. And when T'Challa was flipping or jumping, stuff like that, you could actually see him doing it. But when you get like a Michael Bay movie where it's like everything needs to be in slow motion or it has to be a 360 angled camera, it was like, nah.
You don't see any. And I think that's probably some of the beef people are having with the CGI. Now that I'm thinking about it, the fact that you can actually see the CGI, right? The fact that you could actually see these characters in their movement, that could have been a little bit jarring for people not used to that. Because like I think every step, everything that the Black Panther did looked like it was choreographed to the T, right? And you could just see it. It was beautiful.
Well, it's one of the things that Marvel has done a great job in is taking the time to get things right. Taking the time to pick the right director. Taking the time to pick the right cast. Trusting the director. Hey, when is this movie going to be done? It'll be done by then. All right, cool. Giving them the time to do it, because you don't have to worry about Marvel going, we're pushing this back because it's not ready. Like, you know what I mean? If anything, what was the report? There's like a 4.5 hour movie, and they had to break it down to 2 hours.
I want the 4.5 hour director's cut. I'm boycotting I will boycott H&M again if I don't get that freaking director's cut. Damn it!
I'm pretty sure it's gonna happen, dude.
That is crazy. 4.5 hours.
4.5 hours.
I would watch all of that twice.
I wouldn't watch that in the theaters.
No, I would not. No.
But if I get a 4.5 hour cut, then you best believe I'll be sitting at home watching this.
Yeah, definitely. So we went through, broadly what we
Okoye was so fucking.
Still thinking about her, aren't you?
Yo, I keep bringing this up because every time I think about something, I think about like moments she had. Like when Nakia was like, "You have to come with me." She was like, "No." She goes, "I love T'Challa, but I'm loyal to the throne."
Yeah.
And even when she hated Killmonger, she would not go up against him until she had a legitimate reason to attack back. Once she realized that he was actually out of his mind and was gonna put Wakanda in danger, then she was like, "You're not fit to rule," which is part of her job.
But I think I've heard a criticism about that.
What?
I heard, like, why would you support someone that you know wouldn't be a good ruler, right? And I had to think to myself, like, there are tons of roles in movies and books where you see like the knight, right? That's loyal to the crown, who stays loyal to the crown. And everybody, instead of saying like, "Oh, why would you do that?" they go like, "Oh, he was loyal. Like, he took his vow seriously." But so I don't know if it has anything to do with her being a female, that people kind of see that as, a betrayal of her vows. But I think that shows how ill she really is,
But what's funny about that is, let's say she did leave for Nakia, then it would have been like, oh, she wasn't loyal to, you know what I mean? She wasn't doing her job. So it was a no-win situation for her, man. And you know what I loved? She was legit about her and the Dora Milaje, they were 2 seconds away from beating Killmonger.
Oh, they could have. That was going to happen.
Take the necklace.
Yeah.
Take the necklace.
Hey.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
how did he escape that? Was it the kinetic energy? Yeah. Oh man. So do you feel like a better man after you watch this movie?
I don't even want to get into that yet. I think we should end the show on that conversation.
All right.
I'm gonna go first. I think we can get into. It'll lead into that. I know who you related to most in this, and then we can get into the question you just asked, because it kind of flows right into it.
Okay.
But I really related to M'Baku in that.
Which you told me that, and I've not heard that yet. Like I've heard anybody say they relate to him yet, and I really need to know like why.
I looked at M'Baku and it was like he shows up and he has a legitimate gripe. He goes, "We've been looked down to. We haven't been paid attention to." And he goes, "You pay more attention to your technology done by a little girl than our people."
Don't say nothing bad about Shuri.
And he was just tired of it.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? I love the fact that he was like, he hid up in the mountains. They could hit on the mountains as long as he could. And he was just like, "I've had enough." You know what I mean? And he went up and he was like, "I'm going to represent and I'm going to do the best I can to make sure my people are represented." You know what I mean? And even after all that, he loses the fight. And his people, they didn't turn his back on him. They helped him up. They helped him back to where he was going. And I love that about him. Because he's that good of a leader that even embarrassed, his people were still down for him. I love the fact that when they went looking for his help, he could have killed T'Challa. Like, "Fuck you. You beat me, and now this is my revenge to you." It's like, nah. He was always, "You saved my life to help my people. Why shouldn't I do the same for you?"
Yeah.
So I thought that was great. I loved his. I also understand his humor. Like when he was just like, "I'll feed you to my kids," he was like, "I'm kidding, we're vegetarian." I lost it because that was the funniest shit.
That was hilarious.
So I love that about him. I love the fact that I'm stubborn. That this is something I'm just realizing about myself over the last year or so.
Yeah.
I'm a stubborn ass. So I understood when he was just like, "No, we're not helping you. I'm not sending my people out there to die for your cause."
I don't think that was a selfish decision. I think that was a decision a general would make. He doesn't want to put his people in harm's way.
Yeah. So I understand that aspect of it as well. Yeah. But I also love the fact that he had to think to himself. He had to get over himself and go, T'Challa's right. If Killmonger ends up taking the throne and keeping it, it's only a matter of time before he goes after M'Baku. Yeah. Because he's not bowing down to fucking Killmonger.
I don't know.
And he's not, unfortunately, M'Baku's not winning that fight.
Nah.
You don't want the problems.
Nah.
You know what I mean? So I love the fact that after all that, he still went out there and helped Wakanda. And I love that at the end of the movie, he got a seat on the council.
Yeah.
So everything about him spoke to me.
I just want you to know that, Infinity War is coming up. Right? Mm-hmm. Which means, and this is just a quick side note, Thanos is running around the place. I don't care who you are. There's a good chance that Thanos might be pulling strings. He might be behind M'Baku. Who knows? I just want you to know that before you get a little too excited.
I'm telling you, man. M'Baku's that dude, though.
Right. True.
So I understand him and I get him. It was funny. My wife goes, there were no women where he was at. I was like, the first person to get a kill when M'Baku came out was a woman. Just right out of nowhere. I think stabbed some dude in the head and was like, oh. I'm like, yup.
You don't think them big ass mountain dudes got some little women out there?
And it was funny. And back to the women, I love the fact they had black women of all shades.
Oh my god!
From high yellow light skin all the way down to midnight black. And they were all beautiful.
All beautiful.
And that's who I relate. I related more to M'Baku than I did anybody else in that movie.
Okay, I feel that.
So
you're a good man. M'Baku was a good dude.
Yeah, he's kind of a dick.
I mean, you're kind of a dick too.
I am.
You're a lovable dick. Pause.
Moving on. So, who did you relate to in that movie more than anybody else?
Honestly, it has to be Killmonger. I think. So the big debate was Killmonger right? All right. Surprisingly, I don't think Killmonger was right. I think that.
So you don't think?
I don't think he was right. I don't think he was right. But I empathize with him so much. There's an inner me that's definitely Killmonger. And I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, and I'm like, as a black man, the more educated you get about the world around you and the history of the world around you, the angrier you get. When you learn the true impact of racism and slavery and colonialism and all the isms, right? And how impactful that was to not just us, but the world around us. I'm talking about white people, Hispanic, the way people view us. Things that are the things that are provided to us, right? Everything about us, right, is attached to the color of our skin. I think black people, in particular in this country, have a unique perspective because, again, racism was such an impactful part of the way the world was, the way the world developed, right? But only certain people are affected by racism in a way that prevents them from living a fulfilling life.
Yes.
So I think black people or people that are affected by racism in that way are way more in tuned to little things, right? So I'm imagining that in the world of the MCU. I'm imagining having that anger in a world where Wakanda exists, right? And not just in a world where Wakanda exists, in a world where I came from Wakanda, right? Wakanda abandoned me, left me in fucking Oakland, inner city, in the early 90s, right? Without a dad, without a mom.
With nothing.
With nothing, right?
And all you know is this Wakanda being this almost like heaven.
Yeah.
and then come to find out your father was killed by his brother.
Yep. And so
then your uncle abandoned you.
Yep. Exactly. In a place where cops are killing black people are killing black people, right? Racism. You got all these, and he lived that life, right? He lived the life that all of us live, and we have all these traumas that we don't even think about. I was, I'm talking to some of my friends that, we grew up in the inner city, and friends get shot all the time, and we have like these little, like, all of us have tempers. You know what I'm saying? I have a temper. A lot of my friends have tempers, right? We blow.
My anger is like notoriously known.
Yeah, and then we kind of we try to figure out like where the hell is this coming from, and you don't realize that like everything that you've experienced in your life has contributed to that. So for me, Killmonger being angry and wanting to take that throne and wanting to take revenge on a world that broke him, right? That fucking makes sense to me. Was he right? No, he wasn't right. Wakanda is awesome and everything, right? Wakanda is the most technologically advanced place. But the MCU is a world where the Vision exists, right? Where the Scarlet Witch exists, right? So it might not have been that easy of a fight. He would have dragged Wakanda into a situation where they probably would never be the same. But, I don't know. Long story short, like, especially that last scene with Killmonger. Bury me in the ocean. Right? Because my ancestors knew it was better to die than to live in bondage. Dude. I'm not saying I cried, but I'm saying a little tear. I shed a little tear. You know what I mean? So, Killmonger's my guy. I'll fight you, Diddy, for that name.
Yeah, I'll record it. But like that's what I wanted to bring up. You asked me how that movie affected me, like leaving. So I saw the movie twice, and I saw it again today when that scene where he said, "Bury me in the ocean," where my ancestors knew it was better, where death was better than being enslaved. I don't remember the exact quote, but
I'm pretty sure I butchered the quote too.
But like listening to him say that, I actually understood what it because I keep my mouth shut a lot. Because I really don't feel like I don't feel like debating with people because I don't really have the time for that. And I wondered to myself, is that a form of captivity? Like, you know what I mean? Because I don't speak my mind, am I keeping my thoughts in chains?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like, what's better? Having someone offended by my thoughts where their opinions don't really fucking matter to begin with. Or trying to be nice to everybody because you don't want to hurt your feelings, hurt someone else's feelings. But in return, you're just hurting yourself. So I understand a situation where I kind of pick and choose the things I do and I don't say. But I understood where he was coming from. And again, back to Lupe Fiasco's song, "Words You Never Said." You know what I mean? So I really understood like that aspect of it. You know what I mean? I understood where he was just like, why am I going to live to not live?
I mean, it makes it that's one of many moments in that movie that tie the black experience to what we saw on film. One of many, and I think we touched on that, the fact that Killmonger represents, I think, the African American experience. Or the African diaspora experience. There's not just African Americans. I mean, there's black people in France that have to deal with these issues. There's black people in Jamaica that have to deal with these issues. There's black people all over the world that have to deal with these issues. But it's a perfect representation of that, I think. Who do you think, or what do you think T'Challa represented?
I think T'Challa represents the good, you know what I mean, or the pure, but it also represents a lot of internal struggle.
Yeah,
he always, like his father said, "You're a good man, and it's hard to be a good man and a king."
Yeah.
So for him, it was kind of like,
damn, oh my god! Just in context. So okay, sorry. Him saying that makes sense in the context of the movie, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
So like watching him trying his best to be. I honestly think that, I'm not going to say all of us, but I want to say about 70% of humanity wants to be good. You know what I mean? But I also think that 100% of people in the world have an agenda. Like, you know what I mean? It doesn't necessarily, just because you have an agenda doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. It just means you have your own agenda. And I think that...
You'd be a good political philosopher, by the way.
Yeah. Make no money. And so, but watching him trying to do what's right and go against what's always been the norm is this internal struggle that I think a lot of us as good people have problems with.
Yeah.
Killmonger's agenda might have worked for Zuri, but it didn't work for Wakanda as a whole.
Yeah.
Now, Eric Killmonger thought it would have worked perfectly.
Yeah.
But he wasn't thinking about. He was thinking about.
He was angry.
What was it? Greg called him extreme woke.
Can we go into that a little further? Because
you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It was so like his whole thing about it was like he wants to help those people who have been held down.
Yeah.
And the one thing I don't think people.
But does he really want to help people?
He does.
Or does he want revenge? Or does he want to?
He wants to arm the people who have been pushed down. And one thing I loved was, you know what he never said? He never said, arm the black people, arm the brown people. Yeah. He goes, I want to arm the people and give them the weapons they need or the technology or the vibranium they need so they're not held down anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, in essence, I get it. We should all be on a level playing field. It shouldn't matter anything else, but unfortunately that's not the case. He took it a bit extreme. But I love the fact that T'Challa actually realized how right Killmonger was. Because staying in the corner, not doing anything. What is it? The one thing to make the only thing a good man has to do to be evil is do nothing. Yeah. And that's essentially what Wakanda was doing this whole time. They did nothing. But starting a war wasn't going to win. But knowledge is power. Stepping out of the shadows, creating Wakandan-based buildings to help people in the community. That helps. Stepping out and trying to enlighten people. That helps. You know what I mean? I'm not one of those people who thinks violence doesn't solve anything, because sometimes if someone punches you, turn the other cheek only works twice because you only have two. You know what I mean? Sometimes you got to punch a dude in the face just to be like, I'm here. You're not going to be beating the shit out of me. Like, I was bullied as a kid. And there was one time I popped this dude in the nose. I lost a fight, but he didn't fuck with me again. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it was like, okay. So the passiveness didn't work then. But when I was bouncing, passive worked 90% of the time. Talking to people actually worked 90% of the time.
So I think what you just established was like how you should act based on the position of power you're in, right? Yeah. So when you were being bullied, the bully had the power, right? And so you had to freaking knock him in the nose real quick to let him know that power isn't going to save you from getting knocked in the nose, right? Yeah. But as a bouncer, you had all the power. So you could have just as easily, like Wakanda could just as easily, like you said, start a war, right?
But you know what's funny about that is, I actually didn't have all the power. The people will say there was like 7 bouncers. 7 bouncers against 100 plus people. We don't have the power. You know what I mean? If I can't get to the phone, I can't call the cops. Yeah. If I'm getting the shit beat out of me by like 4 other people, I don't have the power. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? And let's say I do throw this person out. This person might say their rejection was a little more aggressive. They do this. They sue me. I don't have any power.
Well, see, exactly. But
sometimes it's just the illusion of it all.
But even if it's an illusion, even if people believe the power is there, you can use that to your advantage. And the fact that you understood the fact that, okay, I might have power on an individual basis, like me against one of these people, but if all of these club goers decide that I'm doing the wrong thing, I'm going to be screwed, regardless of how big I am. And again, to make the analogy to Wakanda and T'Challa, I think T'Challa saw that. I am a little concerned for the future of Wakanda because, the world sucks. And you saw as he was at the end of the movie when he was addressing the UN, he had a lot of these first world powers being extremely condescending to him still.
Well, hopefully it'll be like the comic books where people understand. Once they realize what Wakanda is, they'll understand what's going on. And the one thing about it is, T'Challa's no fool.
Yeah.
His mother Ramonda isn't going to let him sell vibranium to like North Korea.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? He's not going to give the United States the cure for cancer because all they're going to do is turn it into a weapon. You know what I mean?
Weaponized cancer cure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, you know what I mean? So there's I got that from a Deadpool book. So like it's things like that, man. Like you have to be like, knowledge is power.
Yeah.
And you don't want to arm someone with knowledge when you know they're not going to use it the right way.
But even the knowledge that Wakanda exists, that's what I'm afraid of. Like, I'm afraid for my Wakandans, man. Like, I don't want, like...
Man, listen. There was an issue of Black Panther where the Skrulls invaded. T'Challa killed them all, sent them back on a plane and written in blood. All their dead bodies were on his plane and sent it back into space with, in blood, saying, this is what happens when you try to invade Wakanda.
Oh, yeah, Wakanda is no joke. I mean, even Thanos has had multiple problems invading Wakanda.
Not gonna happen.
But it's happened. I mean, Nazi Cap had a pretty easy time invading Wakanda.
Yeah, but that was because, one, it's Captain America.
Yeah.
Two, notice it didn't last that long.
But you got, but I make this example, and I know we're getting into the comic book a little bit, but I think this is a good way of looking at the potential future of the films, right? So Wakanda is a very powerful nation and very powerful, in the comic book, very powerful entities tried to invade and take over Wakanda.
Yeah.
With little success. Or short-lived success. But Wakanda has fallen on a couple of occasions.
They've
and
fallen,
it's usually
they've never been conquered.
No, but it's usually been an issue that started with the people of Wakanda.
Yeah. Like
so
the same thing with Doom War. Like he ended up finding a way to get nanites in there to have the people like enslaved.
Or Nazi Cap, he had
same thing.
Faust.
Yeah.
Hypnotize enough people to create a groundswell. Again, because people don't understand. Like, T'Challa is one of the most well-developed characters in comic books, I think, because he's not just a superhero; he's a political figure, right? So he can go in like, you know, Black Panther smash all he wants, but he has a nation of people that are extremely intelligent. They're all educated people. They all fight, right?
Yeah.
They all have access to crazy technology. They're not ignorant. And if they see things in their country, or if they perceive things in their country not going the way they want to go, because I guarantee you there's a large segment of Wakandans, even in the movie Wakanda, that would not want to see Wakanda put into the spotlight like they did at the end of it. So again, I feel like a potential future story arc for Wakanda will definitely revolve around the people, right?
Yeah.
And how they feel about the decisions that their king made.
Dude, I'm all for that. I actually was I wrote an article that I haven't promoted yet about like what's next for these characters of Wakanda.
Yeah.
Like, there's no reason that Shuri and Nakia shouldn't be on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. There's no reason for...
I mean, no logical reason, but they're not. Kevin Feige has made it very clear that they're going to keep Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and the rest of the MCU separated for a long time.
Silly.
It sucks, yeah.
It would make, like, I want and I need a Killmonger backstory movie.
Yeah.
Or just like 8 episodes on Netflix or whatever their next streaming system is about like what he went through, like watching him in war, watching him become this Killmonger. Like, I want to see like when he gets his first brand for his kills. You know what I mean?
Oh, there will be a Killmonger comic book. I tell you what, and that might develop into something. But I guarantee after this film,
yeah.
You don't think Marvel's already putting the ink on that Killmonger comic?
Absolutely. So I had a couple of people that said a few things about the comments about Black Panther and things like that. One of them was someone said, "Great movie with excellent writing. Only downside is that Michael B. Jordan was not believable as Killmonger."
Oh my god.
I'm gonna leave that alone.
Oh my god! But is there an explanation to that, or is that just
he just said he didn't like his delivery? He said his delivery wasn't believable at all.
Well, that's a.
I don't agree with that on any level though.
Well, that's a critique on a technical level. I'm hoping. I mean, not hoping. You know what?
People have their opinions.
I disagree with your opinion.
I don't agree on any level at all.
Michael B. Jordan, he was a breakout. Him and Shuri.
Do you remember earlier last year, and I said Michael B. Jordan is going to be so good, he's going to deserve award nominations, and you said those are bold words.
Yeah,
and I was like, remember, you heard it here first.
You know what? I'm gonna eat my humble pie right now, and you were 100% right.
My boy Stevie Gregg said, "Amazing movie with a great cast. I like that it mirrored some earlier MCU films while being a completely different style than the rest of the MCU. And I also like its setup for the future. And a random fun fact: the director originally wanted to use Kraven as a villain."
I heard that. Sony would not let that happen. I doubt Sony would let that happen. But that would be Kraven the Hunter. Oh.
So, and,
okay.
my boy Deshaun goes, "I just want a Claw mixtape."
Yo, did anybody get that SoundCloud link yet? Like, I'm looking that up right now. Hold on a second.
Yo, that cracked me the fuck up.
Like, I'm surprised Disney's gonna set that up. Like, a Claw
mixtape.
Yeah, hold up. Nope, there's no Claw mixtape.
So let me just point out my homegirl Tammy. Shout out to Tam. She sent me this picture, and it's a picture of M'Baku at the end of it. And he goes, "He looks like the type to get you pregnant after your tube's been tied. You sitting there pissed and pregnant with your 5th child, nose big as fuck, and he's rubbing your belly, talking about how beautiful you are and how he's gonna pick up another shift and it's gonna be okay. What shift? You got all the shifts. No more baby showers. Your family looking at you, sick and tired of all these kids. He had a vasectomy a baby ago, and he's just smiling and feeding you grapes like this shit is normal. You know you're just gonna be pregnant forever because you can't stop backing that yam up on him each night, and and you deal with it because the Lord got y'all. By the way, he's 6'5" and Tobaggonian.
Tobago. Yeah. She must know a couple of Trinidadians.
Yo, but it's funny as fuck. It's like, I've seen a bunch of dudes like that, and they're all good dudes.
Yeah.
They just got a bunch of fucking kids.
Yeah.
But they stay by their kids. They stay by their woman. They work extra hours. But it's like, God damn, another fucking kid, man. But they're like, all right, they're taken care of. Food's on the table. The lights are on. Rent's due.
I mean, he got a village in Wakanda. He's the chief of one of the villages. You know, you'll be straight.
You know what's so lovely about that was?
I just hope you like the cold.
You know, so you ever noticed that they weren't like all fully dressed? Like, I think their bodies are just used to the cold by now. They probably just have adapted to the mountains.
Possibly, and then they had a couple of fires, and you know.
And I love, the gorilla holding up like his like throne room at the end of the edge of the mountain. I was like, yo, this is so dope.
Oh my god! I think he's gonna be featured in Infinity War.
I think he's gonna die in Infinity War, unfortunately.
Possibly, but you know, all you ladies in love with M'Baku, get your Infinity War tickets now.
Because you ain't gonna see him after that.
No.
Yo, man, but M'Baku was my dude, though, man.
Mm-hmm. Can we talk about Shuri?
You can talk about Shuri. We got time, man.
So, I think she might be my favorite Disney princess of all time. Like, the way they set this up, I'm telling you guys, you're going to see a film with her and Riri Williams, and it's going to be the second highest grossing Marvel movie of all time.
You know, this Riri Williams stuff, man.
It's not a good look.
It's gonna happen, which is gonna be funny.
Yeah.
But it's just funny. She could be Monica Lynn.
But here's the thing. Tony Stark's dying. If he doesn't die in Infinity War,
he's dead.
He's dying in Infinity War 2, at least.
Yeah, he's dead. There's no way he survives this.
They're gonna need an Iron Man.
Yeah, they got Rhodey. Oh, you mean they need someone? They need someone with the genius of Tony Stark.
Yeah. I mean, Rhodey's War Machine. War Machine's totally different concept than Iron Man.
Okay, I see what you're saying. They need another Tony Stark.
Yeah, they need another Tony Stark.
Yeah.
Shuri can be that next Tony Stark.
Yeah, that's good.
But Wakandan technology far surpasses anything that Iron Man would have. So you kind of need
Dude,
that.
that suit alone is like the only thing that suit can't do is fly.
It's by choice. Because why?
Yeah,
Cats don't fly.
Well, that the fact that I loved. He didn't take that Killmonger shoot in the beginning. Mm-hmm. He goes, "I like it, but the point of this is stealth."
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, so. I mean, Shuri was great. She added a bit of levity when the movie needed levity. She added like dopeness to it when she goes, just because something works doesn't mean it can't be upgraded.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? I love that about her. I love that she wasn't like, she could fight, but she's not a fighter.
Yeah.
Her strength is her genius. But when she needed to fight,
yeah.
She sure enough grabbed a spear and was out there with the rest of them.
And she had her little gauntlet. She almost had Killmonger.
Let me tell you, those gauntlets are going to fly off the shelf.
I want a pair. ASAP. So, what's your score in the movie, old man?
I give it a 10 only, and I was talking to Greg about this. I give it a 10 only because
out of 10.
Out of 10,
mm-hmm.
And I give it a 10 because it was the flow of the movie was great, mm-hmm. The dialogue was great, the acting was great, the message was great. It hits. There's not a person who's gonna go see this movie that can't relate to it. And that mm-hmm. one dude was like, he gave it a 3 out of 5.
Who? Oh, okay.
Only because, and the best comment was, because Black Panther didn't fight enough villains. I'm like, are you kidding me? That's what you're taking out of this? I'm like, alright, cool. But everyone has their opinion. Maybe they just wanted more fighting and all that. But I give it a 10 out of 10. I don't think it was the best Marvel movie though. Mm-hmm. Winter Soldier still holds that #1 spot for me.
Winter Soldier is a solid film. Winter Soldier is a solid film.
I think I've seen Winter Soldier more than I've seen any MCU movie. Mm. I've seen Deadpool more than any of them, but I've seen...
Well, that's not MCU.
Yeah, but I've seen Winter Soldier more than I've seen any MCU movie.
Alright. That's a good score. I think, I'll give it a 9 out of 10. The only reason why I'll give it a 9 out of 10 is I know the sequel is going to be better, hopefully, than this, and I want to reserve my 10 out of 10 for that.
Yeah, I understand that. Maybe, like I said, my emotions have calmed since the first time I saw it. So when I saw it the second time, I actually got to see a bunch of stuff that I missed because I was like writing things down and taking notes and whatnot. Mm-hmm. But honestly, man, I loved everything about that movie, man.
Yeah, I think it was a visual feast. It was beautiful to look at. The writing was outstanding. The acting, I mean, what Marvel movie do you know? Okay. I know you Winter Soldier. I understand that argument, but I can't think of another Marvel movie that had better acting. Like, it was outstanding, dude.
Better?
Yeah.
Marvel movie that had better acting. The only one I think that comes close, First Avenger. Yeah. And the first Guardians of the Galaxy. The first Guardians of the Galaxy. There's only 2 MCU movies I think that even come close with like a cast that had a cast that was so great from top to bottom. Yeah, I mean, let me see here. Let me take a look at this cast. So you had Chadwick Boseman, right? Mm-hmm. Michael B. Jordan, mm-hmm. Lupita Nyong'o, mm-hmm. Denai Guerrero. She's been in a lot of good movies. I didn't know that was her in Walking Dead. Yeah, that's Chick with the Dreads. Yep, Chick with the Dreads and the Sword. Forrest Whitaker. Daniel... Well, everybody knows what Forrest Whitaker is. My wife pointed this out and it cracked me up. She goes, I love that they picked a young character who played Forrest Whitaker and he still had that lazy eye. Well, they fixed the lazy eye a little bit in the posters, right? Oh, also, old T'Chaka is actually young T'Chaka's father in real life. That's dope. I was sitting there writing up a piece and I was like, holy shit, they're related. That's actually pretty cool. They look alike too. I was like, oh, that's a good casting. Yeah. And then the two white dudes, the 2 token white dudes. Andy Serkis, he played Golem. He's one of the best actors around. And then you had Martin Freeman, who was also in Lord of the Rings. Who was also a great actor. How fucking great Ross was. Yo, Yo, I kept telling everyone there was like this. Like someone was telling me like people upset that there's no white people in this movie. I said
You don't need any other white people.
I was like, trust me, when you see how great Ross is, you won't even think about it. Like he was integral in that movie, and he played. And because I know the character from the comic books, and him in the comic books was great. And then I seen who they got for him. I was like, oh, yo, this is gonna be dope.
They got some grade A. Like this is I wonder how many Oscar noms are in this cast right now. Like how many people in this cast got at least Oscar nominations?
Oh, we haven't even mentioned Angela Bassett.
I missed her. Oh, I just skipped right over Angela Bassett. Oh my god, look at how beautiful in this picture. Yo, dude, this was a great movie. I'm still excited. Not the fact that I watched it, the fact that a movie like this was even made, man. Like, this is everything that I dreamed about as a child, being able to watch, like seeing the comic books come to life, right? You know, we've seen these things, right? We've seen really good, good Superman, okay Superman movies, right?
I thought Man of Steel was dope.
Man of Steel was good, but a lot of great Marvel movies. But the fact that they took the Black Panther, gave him a great movie, made the movie in a way that represented black people, like black director, black cast, black producers, screenwriters, right? It just makes me happy, man. Like I feel like I don't know, us as a people, we have a habit of kind of taking these moments and getting excited for a little bit and then really not turning it into anything. Like I really feel like this movie could be used as a turning point. Like I think people finally see the power that we have, whether it's supporting art that we like or supporting a candidate for president that we like. Like we have power in numbers. We can do shit, together as a people. And this movie showed that.
I want to end with something my wife texted me. She goes, it's funny how empowering it is for black women and young girls as much as it is for men and boys. Those women were dark, beautiful, and so powerful. I thought it was amazing. It's far and few in between that dark-skinned women / girls get that kind of praise or seen as beautiful and strong. Mm-hmm. And I think that was one of the best points of this movie. And I wish I could remember the writer's name, who's some black woman who said that movie made her feel powerful in a way that she didn't even know was possible. And to be honest with you, let's say this movie bombed, which obviously didn't happen, so it's over 202 million as it is.
Dude.
The one thing I love about it is the fact that the people who have gone to see this movie, it's changed their lives. And for everybody out there listening who thinks to themselves, it's just a movie, cool, it's just a movie to you. But to me, Supa Javi, it's more than a movie, just Wakanda forever.